Hey folks, welcome to Module 2. In this module, our expert will cover common automation workflows and campaigns. So get ready to take some notes and let's jump right in.
All right, so we're going to be starting out with the most basic of workflow automations, and that is basic lead nurturing. And again, we're using autopilot here. We're going to be using that for all of the different types of workflows that we're going to be looking at in this module. Again, you can do basically the same thing in any platform that you're going to be using, but autopilot is nice for our purposes here because it includes a whole bunch of preloaded and fleshed out types of campaigns, starting from the very basic nurturing a new lead all the way to the more advanced stuff having to do with webinars, text messages, cart abandonment, and that sort of thing. So let's jump straight into this one, nurturing a lead. This is very basic, very bare bones. Someone joins a certain list. When they join that list, then they're sent an email. Once that email is sent, there's a delay of, in this case, 10 days, and then another email is sent. Another delay, another email is sent, another delay, another email, and then once you're done sending them the content that you use for nurturing them, you would add them to a new list. And in this case, the list is called Nurture Done, which could potentially start them on a whole nother new automation campaign designed to fill another purpose. But the important thing here to notice is that while all of these things are happening, it's not linear. Other things are happening as well. So this email was sent, and then there's a condition line here saying on click. So if that email is clicked, then they get sent into a 1-day delay, and then they're sent another email follow-up. Same thing here. So if any of the emails throughout this entire period of what looks like probably about 30 days, so nurturing a lead over the course of 30 days, if any of them are not only opened, but a link inside is clicked, well, that's an indicator to you that they are interested in what you're offering, and after 1 day after clicking any of those emails, they're sent into this whole workflow process here, which includes a sales follow-up. And here's an example of a sales follow-up. Hi, Lisa. We noticed you're interested in learning more about trial journeys, etc., etc. Would you like to book an interactive demo? Okay, so that's just an example of what they do over at Autopilot. That's what would be in this email. Okay, how do you know that they're interested? Well, because they clicked. Okay, and you used your drag and drop interface to say if anybody clicks on a link inside of one of these emails, start a 1-day timer, and then send them these follow-up sales emails. After that happens, they're added to Nurture Engaged, which is a new list, right? Which again could start them on a whole nother campaign, and they are ejected from this journey, because they're already working directly with a sales representative. They're getting demos and stuff. They don't need to continue getting all of these emails. And so one of the actions that are taken based on their behavior is they are ejected after they've been added to this list. Now, that's a very basic 101 level new lead nurturing workflow right there. Another one we can look at, though, is a 30-day trial nurturing campaign. So let's say you have a software and you're letting people demo it or trial it for free for 30 days. This is what you could do. So first off, you'll notice as soon as someone submits a form signing up for the free trial, there's 2 different courses of action that begin simultaneously. First, an email is sent, and we'll go down this track in a moment, but then also they're sent a message, a heads-up message, and they're added to a Facebook custom audience, which is also very handy for remarketing. Now, following up on that email, the free trial email is sent, and there's a 1-day delay. And after that delay, another email is sent here, and there's some notes to explain what's going on here. Basically, the first 3 days of a trial is when people are most likely to open and respond to emails. So this template puts a lot of emphasis on day 1, 2, and 3, and that's why there's a short duration. There's only 24 hours of gaps in between the first several emails. Later on, those times sort of start to expand a little bit. You're checking in with people every 12 days. Send an email, wait, send an email, wait. And then towards the end here, it gets more important because they're starting to run out of time, right? They've only got, a few days left in their trial, and you really want to try and get them to upgrade to a full account before their trial expires, right? And then finally, an email where they're asking for feedback on the software from the trial user. And post-trial nurture list is what they're added to after the very end, after they've been sent those emails. Very important detail here, though. Here's another trigger and an action. Okay, if, based on the smart segmenting that you can do inside of Autopilot, if they become a paying customer, which means during or at the end of their trial, they upgraded, right, and are now on the paid plan, then, so this is if then, right, if that, then they are ejected from this journey. Because what happens if someone, let's say right here on day 3 or day 15, decides to open up one of your emails and say, you know what, fine, okay, I'll click through and I'll go upgrade. And they upgrade and they end their trial and they become a paying customer. Well, you don't want them getting all of these emails about trials, about how their trial's going, right? That's a very important part of every workflow, is making sure that you think about all the different possibilities and make sure that your automation is doing what it's supposed to do, which is adapting to all those different possibilities, adapting to all of those different types of behavior and responses from your customers. Okay, so the whole nature of these workflows is to be dynamic as possible. And so don't forget steps like this, removing people from workflows once a desired result has been obtained. Another one we can look at here is registration follow-up. So when someone registers for, let's say, a webinar or even a live in-person event, once they've submitted that registration form, you can send them into an audience at MailChimp, is the example here, so an email list, add them to another list here at Autopilot, and send a Slack message to your team, letting them know that a new person has signed up, add a 1-day delay, and then send an SMS. Okay, so this is very basic, bare bones, reminding them about the event that they registered for. So event registration follow-up. A little bit more advanced would be managing the attendees of a webinar. Now this one's very cool because it segments people based on how they felt after a webinar. So John, how was the webinar after attending? How do you feel about the software after they sat through the webinar? And they've got 3 options here. Happy and comfortable, which they're categorizing as expert. Okay for now, which they're categorizing as intermediate. Or I'm still confused and need more help, and they're labeling that as beginner. Okay, so once that email is sent out, there's a condition, which is click, and then determining which page was visited, so which of the links was clicked, and depending on which one was clicked, then they are sent into different email autoresponder campaigns here, right? So in the case of this one, they're recommending the templates library. They're asking them to sign up for a free trial, and they were added to a list before they were sent those new broadcasts. And then there's a 15-day delay, and then they're sent a survey, and they're asked to fill out a survey asking, how likely would you be to recommend Autopilot to others? And that's another survey software that this directly integrates with. So another cool point for Autopilot there. And then on the intermediate one, there's a video follow-up via email. So if they chose this option here, the I'm okay for now, there would be a video follow-up. And then here, I'm still confused and need more help. That's the beginner one. If they had clicked on that one, well, then they would have had a completely different experience. Okay, they would have been sent into a pipeline with this integration with pipeline here, or they would have been sent a heads-up message, and they're going to start getting engaged as a beginner, trying to get these people eventually to understand the software more and eventually sign up for it, and so on and so forth. So that's managing attendees after a webinar based on what they thought of the webinar, and that's a very cool way to do it. Another one here, this is very common, possibly the most common automation workflow, at least in the e-commerce space, and that is shopping cart abandonment and recovery. It's pretty simple, but boy, it really impacts your revenue in a positive way if you've got a cart abandonment automation workflow set up. So somebody is sent to a list, and the list is based on them abandoning a cart. So they've put in their email address on a shopping cart, but they didn't end up going all the way through the checkout process. So they've been added to that. And the first thing that happens here is they are added to a Facebook audience so that you could do retargeting via Facebook ads, right? Asking them why they didn't check out or reminding them that they still need to purchase, so on and so forth. But then there's a 1 hour delay from when they were in the cart and didn't purchase, 1 hour delay. And there's one of those "you left this behind" emails. You've got those 1,000 times, I'm sure. I certainly have. You forgot to check out, etc., etc. Did you forget something? Those are very common subject lines. And then there's a 4 hour delay again. And then there's an if here, a condition. Okay, if they visited the cart again, and if they have not visited, then you're sending another email here. Okay. Saying our team are here to help. Okay, so basically just continuing to reach out to them and see if they need anything else. See if you can sort of nudge them towards making that purchase. Okay, a 1 day delay here and visiting the page, that's the condition. If they have not visited, then you're doing a split test here, which is another very cool feature of Autopilot. Okay, you're sending an abandoned cart discount to half of them. It's a 50-50 split. So half of them get that, and then the other half get a free shipping offer. So in this case, it's a discount, a coupon on the actual price. And in this case, it's a free shipping offer. And so here, not only are you sending people through a journey that very well could bring them, from being a cart abandoner, a visitor, a window shopper, if you will, to being a customer, but you're also figuring out which approach leads to the most successful sales. Because you can look at your numbers after this and you can say, hey, the people who got the discount code, the coupon code, they converted at 40%, but the people who were offered free shipping, no coupon, no discount, but free shipping, they converted at 60%, right? So the split test functionality inside of Autopilot, as well as other marketing automation softwares out there, is definitely useful, and always be sure to test. Here we've got cart recovered. Okay, once that person has indeed gone back to the cart and finished that initial purchase that they were going to make, okay, remove them from the abandoned cart list, remove them from the Facebook audience that you added them to here, and eject them from this journey, eject them from this entire workflow here, because you don't want to keep sending them emails saying, hey, why didn't you buy this thing in your cart, if they did, in fact, buy it shortly after being put into this recovery campaign, right? So eject them from this once you've been successful so that they don't continue getting more messages. And last but not least, we're going to be looking at SMS marketing automation here. And the example that we're using here is hosting an event or a meetup where people can submit their registration via Typeform, right? And you add them to a list, right? An email list here, and you can send them an email here. But more importantly, you're sending them an SMS, because presumably you collected their phone number here as well. So you send them an SMS via Twilio, which Autopilot integrates with, and you're just reminding them that they're registered. As you get closer to the event, you're sending simultaneously an email campaign reminding them, but you're also sending them SMSs. Our event is tomorrow. Are you still coming? Right? If they reply yes, great, can't wait to see you here. So there's an acknowledgement of them replying yes. If they reply no, oh no, you'll be missed. We hope to see you at another one. And then you can segment them to, based on that response, segment them to a new list saying not attending versus the list for a confirmed registration, right? And then on the actual day of the event, you've got a time trigger here, and that's a very important part of this for events, time trigger. And based on that, if they are on a list or segment, for in this case, for example, not attending the meetup, pay close attention here. This list is the not attending meetup list. So if they are not on that list, if the answer is no, they are not on that list, we want to send them the event reminder, because that means they are attending. If they are not on the not attending list, we also send them the SMS saying, hey, it's tonight, don't forget to show up, right? So that's how they segmented these people, and that's how they responded based on whether or not they had been added way back up here to the not attending meetup which was based on their answer to that SMS, right? So as you can see, it's pretty complicated, but in a good way. There's all sorts of really cool things that you can do here inside of Autopilot. And these are just a few examples. There's dozens and dozens of different types of workflows that you can create to sort of maximize the power of marketing automation in your business. In the next module, what we're going to be doing is basically starting with a blank canvas and creating a whole workflow automation from scratch.